It's the 21st of May and I'm Tom Glasson. Welcome to The Roast. Now, earlier today, Tony Abbott pulled out of a university visit because of security concerns. Then tonight, he pulled out of appearing on our show because he is too busy being creepy on ABC Radio.
I'm a 67-year-old pensioner. I just survive on around $400 a fortnight after I pay my rent. And I work on an adult sex line to make ends meet. Now, that's the only way I can do it. I've worked out, and my maths isn't crash hot, that it's going to cost me at least an extra $850 a year with the increase.
To be fair, the elderly woman forced to work in the adult industry did say sex, and all children agree that is a funny word. Tonight, Joe Hockey claims that blocking the budget would raise interest rates, and Tony Abbott cancels a university tour because the students are revolting. How you interpret that last word will depend on whether or not you're currently in government. First, though, Mark Humphries has the headlines.
Jacqui Lambie, the nuttiest thing to come out of Tasmania since Cadbury's Fruit and Nut Bar, appeared on ABC's 7:30 program last night. As Joe Hockey's sweat glands will tell you, being interviewed by host Sarah Ferguson can be hard work.
You said that the federal budget proves that Liberals are, and I'll quote you, gutless sycophants led by uncaring psychopaths. On reflection, did you go too far calling them psychopaths?
Perhaps, though Lambie might have just been thinking there were some physical similarities. But I do think you may have gone too far, Jacqui.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I think when it comes to Joe Hockey and Tony Abbott, that, I mean, the truth be said, they're nothing less than a pair of deceitful, lying political politicians.
Don't you hate those political politicians? That must be why Lambie joined a party run by someone who knows nothing about politics.
Is Clive Palmer going to dictate how you and the other Palmer United senators vote?
No, there's no dictatorship in the Palmer United Party.
No, of course Clive Palmer doesn't dictate what happens in the Palmer United Party. Dictators never name things after themselves. And for a moment it looked like Jacqui was following Clive's lead and falling asleep on camera. To be fair though, she may have just been referring to her detailed notes. And lucky she had her notes because Sarah pushed Lambie for answers on how to balance the budget.
You've opposed, as I understand it, you've opposed the debt levy, you've opposed the Medicare co-payment, changes to pensions, changes to welfare and clearly universities. What are you proposing as alternatives?
Why aren't we hitting people like the big banks?
OK, that's suitably from left field. What does Daddy think about that?
Well, I haven't actually spoken to Clive Palmer about that one yet.
Yep, she's winging it. Lambie's appearance also saw the debut of her nickname for Treasurer Joe Hockey.
It's like, calm down there, Cowboy Joe. Calm down.
That reminds me of a cartoon I saw.
Calm down, calm down. Yeah, calm down, you sons of bitches.
No, not that one. Lambie and the Brick.
It's Lambie, Lambie and the Brick.
And Wang.
In Showdown with Cowboy Joe Hockey.
This is gonna be the best day of my life. My life.
Not so fast, Cowboy Joe.
Brick. Lambie and the Brick. And Wang, get out of my way. I'm on the pathway to surplus.
We're not letting you go anywhere until you make some changes to the budget.
Oh, yeah? Like what?
Where does money come from? Where does money come from? The bank. The bank! Tax the banks!
Tax the banks? What does Parmosaurus have to say about that?
He's busy crunching the numbers.
And what if I don't tax the banks?
Then the pathway to surplus ends right here.
Balance of power is not balanced if one power can just throw ideas off the top of their head and block everything.
Ah, cliffhanger. For The Roast, I'm Mark Humphries.
Thank you, Mark. And there may be more episodes to come after Treasurer Joe Hockey warned Labor that if they join the micro-parties and block budget measures in the Senate, they would be to blame when Australia's economy was damaged. So congratulations, Labor. If you join forces with the micro-parties, you might actually have some influence again. And here is a quick breakdown on what Joe Hockey thinks will happen to the economy in a short piece narrated by acclaimed British thespian Jason Statham.
This is Cowboy Joe. He's just knocked up a budget. This is Bill Shorty Shorten. He f***ing hates that budget. Now, Cowboy Joe's told Shorty if he blocks his budget, Australia's credit rating will drop like a teenager's bollocks and interest rates will rise like a bloated corpse in an East London river. And that ain't kosher, because it's not about the size of your deficit, but your perceived ability to one day pay that deficit back. Cowboy Joe knows that. Shorty knows that. But like two huge turds stuck in the shitter, they're refusing to budge on the budget.
Oh, I love how they sound like uneducated thugs but have a great vocabulary. And amidst all these accusations of possible credit downgrades, the Prime Minister threw in his 2 cents.
Labor are being fiscal vandals here. Labor is putting our AAA credit rating at risk.
And he's right. In fact, we have exclusive evidence here of some of the fiscal vandals' work. The Daily Telegraph also helpfully illustrated how it's all Bill Shorten's fault. Although, I don't know if I'd want to take financial advice from a newspaper that thinks a 20 is worth more than 100. I guess, though, it's not surprising given the job advertisement that the Telegraph recently put out.
Wanted. Graphic artist. Rudimentary Photoshop skills essential. Ability to count optional.
But Bill Shorten is no stranger to the blame game, and he had a killer defence to the government's accusations.
If Tony Abbott squanders our AAA rating, then it's on his head. He's the man in charge.
And Bill Shorten is sure to ride that whole, hey, don't blame me, I'm not the boss strategy, all the way to the Prime Ministership. But with both sides focusing on blaming each other, they risk damaging the one thing they're actually both trying to protect.
Quick! Help me save this damsel!
Yes, sure. Oh, come on, mate, you're saving her wrong. You don't want to cut the ropes, you've got to untie them.
Oh, we don't have that kind of time. It's cutting or nothing. This isn't my first damsel in distress, you know.
Well, it's your fault she's here in the first place.
Oh, great. Let's just start blaming each other. That's really helpful.
And if they hadn't been so keen to blame each other for the immediate risk to Australia's AAA credit rating, they might have heard Standard & Poor's say there is no immediate risk to the AAA credit rating. So really, that train is a long way off, and the girl who represents our credit rating is pretty safe. Hooray! Well, for now. We'll be right back.
Have you ever been so busy attacking your enemy that you lost sight of what you were actually fighting for? What were you fighting for? Can you even remember anymore? If you do, we'd love to hear about it at The Roast TV or hashtag RoastTV.
Finally, the Prime Minister today decided to cancel a visit to Victoria's Deakin University due to security concerns, which is at least a better excuse for not turning up to uni than I'm hungover, my alarm didn't go off, or I am allowed to miss 2 tutes. The threat to the PM was the National Day of Action, a coordinated series of uni protests where students rallied against the government's proposed increase to university fees. Last night on Lateline, Education Minister Christopher Pyne was very careful not to provoke the students any further.
I guess in a nirvana paradise kind of world, no students would have to pay for their university degrees.
The unattainable nirvana paradise, or as it's otherwise known, Australia from 1974 to 1989. Still, it's been a big few days for uni protesters. First, they tried to tell Foreign Minister Julie Bishop their favourite Michael Fassbender movie. Then they dropped a poetry jam on former Liberal MP Sophie Mirabella. Well, they definitely said it loud. And loud got the media's attention, because unfortunately, nothing makes a protest more newsworthy than a protester going batshit crazy.
This budget will deny young people an education and entrench intergenerational disadvantage.
OK, and when do you plan to start the out-of-control violence?
What?
Which one of your delegates is going to punch a politician? Who's going to get arrested?
No, this is a peaceful protest. We don't want our message diluted by those kinds of distractions.
Sorry, I thought you wanted media coverage of this thing.
We do.
Well, then you better start getting shovey with the Foreign Minister or disrupt Q&A, you know, something like that. Hey, do you have any lighter fluid and some fire? Can we get some fire? Oh, hang on, we might have something.
No, he is not with us. He does not represent what we are.
Hey, you want to be on television?
Yeah, I want to be on TV. Abbott is a Nazi Stalinist pig goat. Down with society. Neo-Maoist anarchy now. No cuts, no fees. We want everything for free. No.
Violent university protesters rioting in the streets once again.
And Tony Abbott is right to avoid this gathering of student protesters, especially since the only thing to protect him against that group of angry 19-year-olds would be a force of heavily armed guards. And let's not forget that this country does have a history of assassinating our prime ministers. One was killed by the ocean, and Father Time did knock off most of the rest. So in the interest of safety, it's usually best for politicians to just avoid protests altogether. And besides, some of them can get pretty ugly. Isn't that right, Tony? Yuck. Good night.